Good evening once again, and welcome to this segment we like to call Engine Behind the Power, where we have personalities that make a difference within their communities, within their environments, and we're here to find out what it is that motivates them, find out what is the engine behind their power. And tonight we're joined by a gentleman of note. He's had a very successful career in the Kenyan military, and he left the military and entered the public life, public service in his own style. And he's here with us to share with us his views and vision for his community, the Samburu community. And we're talking about the patron of the Samburu Council of Elders, none other than retired Col.Richard Leiyagu. How did I pronounce it properly?
Yeah, you have done it properly.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Welcome. First of all, we just saw a story on the news about some KDF officers having lost their lives in the line of duty. What are your feelings about that?
Victor, what I can say is that those are the normal aspects of the military jobs, and I think it's a global problem. It's about terrorism. It's not only happening here in Kenya, it's happening regionally, the whole world. So today I think they were just unlucky that they met the IED. Yes.
And then this is part of the hazards of the job.
Yeah, these are the hazards of the job, and there's very little you can do about it, because well, if you are in an operation area, you expect at one time or the other you encounter such incidences.
Right.
And the only option they have is that they need to intensify their surveillance and training. Because it's through training that they'll be able to understand their environment, understand the enemy, and be able to eliminate before they are eliminated.
Right.
Because in a conflict, that's the trend.
Right.
If you don't act in advance, then they'll act on you.
Right, right. And I like that we have begun this conversation with that tone about life in the military. You have been a member of the military for many years, and you've risen to a leadership position within the military before you left to pursue other interests. I would like you to kind of just backtrack for us and tell us about what were some of the most impactful lessons that you learnt in the course of your military career that have influenced you to do what it is that you do. Because if I may quote John F. Kennedy, and he says that leadership and learning are synonymous.
Yeah.
You cannot be a leader if you don't learn from what you've been through. Tell us what you learned from your life in the military that you feel has been instrumental in your application of your roles as the patron of the Council of Elders and a community leader of note for your people.
Victor, what I will tell you is that any military leader has to be practical, because the business of the military leader is leading men, and that leadership should come through training, because from the time you join the military, you undergo a lot of training. And actually, the military, they normally say the best moral factor you can give to any soldier is the professional training. Once somebody has been trained in various areas, leadership, management, operation, all that, then you can be able to fit in any situation. So what I can say I learned for the time I've been in the military is that I learned a high level of leadership. Because I started right from the lowest level as a platoon commander, leading about 39 people, all the way to a battalion level. I went through numerous challenges, training, until I can say when by the time I was leaving, I was a perfected leader of troops.
But Colonel, there's a bit of a problem here, or maybe a bit of a contradiction, in the sense that you come from at that point where you're exiting the military. You're at a senior position. You've been working in a very structured environment, full of order. Everyone knows what they're supposed to do. Every leader, like yourself, is well trained and knows their brief. You leave that and you enter public life, which is not structured at all. There's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of confusion in such a situation. How was that for you? And how did you anticipate to deal with that?
What I can say, Victor, is that But by the time I left the military, I had made a decision that I've done my part in the military, and I would like also to give something to the community. I understood the environment, that it's a chaotic environment, but I was prepared for it. And whatever I went through, those are normal challenges that any leader will face. I can't say that I regret what I did. I really entered, and I'm very sure for the time I've been with the communities in Laikipia, in Samburu, I've tried my best to try to really bring a change in various aspects, leadership, organization, and all that, and even being a voice for the various communities I've interacted with.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, your current position and what a lot of people know you for is being the patron for the Samburu Council of Elders. You're in charge, or you preside over a very large community spread across 4 counties of Kenya. This is a community that is rich in culture, but this is a community that tragically has also been affected by a number of issues, environmental, political, security, and such. As the patron of this Council of Elders, what is your vision for this community, the people that you lead? What is your vision? What is your intention? What are your views on the current situation and where you would like them to be?
Victor, what I will say is that the patron of the Council of Elders is the leader of the Council of Elders. Secondly, is also the protector and defender of the community cultural and social norms, their values, and also the unity of the community, regardless of where they live, their age, regardless of their sex, their creed, and political affiliation. You must be there to really guide the community on their social and cultural issues. I know it's a challenging role because the community has never had a Council of Elders. The current Council of Elders came into being in 2013 in December. And they have really tried, the elders, without any structures in place, without a constitution, they have really tried to intervene in a number of cultural issues, conflict resolution, peacemaking, and currently they're even being used to address a number of health issues within the community. So I'll use my experience for the time I've been with the community and for the over 28 years I've been in the military to intervene and fill that gap, ensure that the community, first and foremost, get a constitution, because the constitution is the one that's going to lay the framework, how we're going to work on our issues, because we have lost so much in our culture. We have destroyed so much of our environment, and we cannot continue that way. We need to intervene, and that's my role, to move in and fill that gap. Yeah.
Now, some observers have looked at the Samburu community and characterized them as one of the marginalized communities of Kenya in terms of access to resources such as education, healthcare, and such things, and as well as a low level of infrastructure in that area. Coming from this community and being a leader of this community, how have you seen, or what ways have you seen exist for you to be able to have this community move into the 21st century in every sense of the word, in terms of access to all these things that are missing? How do you see that happening?
It's true. When you look at the 4 counties where the Samburu live, that's Samburu, Laikipia, Isiolo, and Marsabit. Honestly, if you compare the rest of Kenyans, the community is marginalized, and it's actually excluded in the mainstream Kenyan communities. And I feel our lifestyle, the pastoralism, which is our main livelihood, our main production system, and our way of life is the cause of the major marginalization, because there is very little intervention to be able to ensure the community that they continue being productive, being able to sustain their livelihood, being able to maintain their normal way of life through pastoralism. That's actually the main cause. Pastoralism has been affected by two main factors: climate change and the land use system. These two factors have really contributed to the level of economic advancement of the community. And the community cannot continue without plan to be able now to look at the way they can continue that lifestyle or change to a modern way of livestock production, because the climate change is affecting everybody.
Right. At this point, I would like to ask you, you raised something very interesting. If you look at the policies that have been in place since independence, even pre-independence to date, policies that deal directly or affect directly the people that you lead, I want to ask you if you feel that the Samburu pastoralist, in every sense of the word, is well understood by the rest of Kenya, or the people.
Victor, I can say no. Why I'm saying so is that if you look at historically pastoralism, they are the first areas of grazing, where they can access water, they can access grazing and all that. And that land, most of it has gone to either national parks, national game reserves, and there's also another craze coming up of conservancies. And it is being spearheaded by what they call Northern Rangeland Trust. This entity has taken almost the entire grazing areas of the community. Now the community, which is not prepared for any other lifestyle, is still struggling to make a living, and their land has been taken, and the laws that are put in place are not really considered with their plight.
Now, with that in mind, and with your description of who the Samburu person is at their very core, a pastoralist. This has been the way of life for centuries. Do you think that there is a place for the classic Samburu person, the original pastoralist himself or herself? Do you think there is a place for such a person in the modern world with all these pressures that you've mentioned, including climate change, including the changes in the use of land, and pressures such as the ones you've just outlined? Is there a place for the Samburu person unchanged in the modern world?
Victor, what I can say is that according to the prevailing situation now, the community is doomed. And unless something is done, because this community, a big portion of the community is not prepared for a different lifestyle. They are still focusing on pastoralism, which has been affected to almost extinction. So it requires urgent intervention to be able to find ways of a modern livestock production, or maybe diversification to other income-generating activities. But that one has not been done. The community, if you go to Laikipia, they are marginalized, they are excluded. You go to Isiolo, the same thing, and many other places. So a serious, drastic action is required to be able to address the community plight, to be able to prepare them for the changes of the 21st century and beyond. And
what would be the agent of this change that you're advocating for?
And that's one of the agents is an association like the Council of Elders, because these are experienced local leaders who are used to the Samburu traditional administrative system, and they understand the problem, they understand the environment, they know what's required. So if the Council of Elders can be consulted by all those actors, the NGO, the government institution, to be able to find the best way of addressing their challenges, I'm sure we can reverse the current trend.
I want you to give us a vision for the Samburu community of the future. a Samburu community that is not doomed anymore, a Samburu community that has learned to adapt to the world around it and still integrate a lot of its, of its culture. Talk to me about the vision for where you want this community to go.
First and foremost, Samburu...
And as you mentioned that, please allow me to say this, as you mentioned that, include some of the issues that are currently affecting this community. Education, infrastructure, some cultural aspects that may not quite be, very helpful, things about healthcare, things about armed conflict and all those. Talk to us about the Samburu community of the future.
First and foremost, the Samburu community requires peace and security. Require a long-lasting peace within those areas. Because without peace, then no other intervention will work. Once there is a long, sustainable peace, they also need to live in coexistence with other neighboring communities. Because that way now they'll be able to exchange their cultures, do business with them, and other kind of. Now, once that one has been achieved, the next level should be education. The community cannot sustain pastoralism at the prevailing situation because of so many factors I've already mentioned. Climate change, land use system, which is really against the pastoralism. Education will empower the community to be able now to venture into other activities, other income generating activities. They can do business, they can seek employment, they can be creative and come up with new ideas to be able to make ends meet. Yeah.
Wow. And what are some of the challenges to those things that you feel need to happen?
The biggest challenge today, I can say, has been insecurity. In those areas, the 4 counties where the community live, there's a lot of illegal arms, and the community really have faced numerous attacks. They have lost several hundreds of thousands of livestock, either by security forces killing animals, by their neighbors raiding them, and all that, and even drought. They have also lost many during drought. So that's one big challenge. A second challenge is the issue of squatter. In Laikipia, I can say the biggest problem is a squatter challenge, because most of them, they are residing where they are living. They have been there for almost 35 years, living on absentee landlords, and they have no plans by the local administration or the county government to even the national government to identify, take stock of the squatters and address the challenge, because it's something that can be done. You look at what happened during President Kibaki's time. He took a big portion of soil and settled squatters, and now the squatters are comfortable. And that's a model that should be applied across all those areas that are occupied by squatters. I'm not saying this is only the Samburu who are squatters in Laikipia. There are many other communities, but the problem of squatters is a challenge to that county, that there is no other development that can be able to progress unless the issue of squatters is settled.
Is dealt with.
Yeah.
Now, I'm informed by my directors that we're running out of time. We're actually completely out of time, but I wouldn't want to let you go without you answering 2 very critical final questions that I would like you to talk to us about. And the first is this: you're a leader. You've put yourself out there into public life. They say some people say public life is a thankless job. Whatever the case, I want you to tell us, what is it that motivates you to get up every morning and focus on serving your people? What is your motivation? What is your drive? What is your engine behind the power?
The drive that actually motivates me is that when I see many souls who have no voice, who are really not bettering their way of life, I feel a call that I should play a leading role to bring a social transformation in that area, to be able to at least uplift their suffering.
Wow, wow, that's powerful. That's very powerful.
Thank you.
And one last question, and this is your camera right here. I want you to address your answer to this camera, because you're going to address Kenyans. I know when you came here, you probably may have had some things on your heart, or in your mind, or in your heart, that you would like to share with the rest of Kenyans that I may not have addressed because of time. I would like you to look at this camera and very quickly talk to Kenyans on something that is close to your heart. Talk to Kenyans, talk to the people of Samburu, spread as they are across the 4 counties and across the country of Kenya.
What I would like to say is this, that we thank His Excellency the President for the Building Bridges initiative, together with His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga. And as the Council of Elders, we would like to take that opportunity to play a leading role to contribute to the achievement of the success of the building initiative idea. And some of these issues we feel as elders we are going to bring out is that the first and foremost is resettlement of the communities in those areas. There are many people who have been displaced, they are traumatized, they need rehabilitation. The second thing is the empowerment of those communities, that we give our local suggestion based on our indigenous knowledge, our experience, to be able now to empower those local people to be able now to participate as Kenyans and contribute to the success of the initiative.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Colonel, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best in your plan to take the community to the next level.
They will be there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.